Samantha. So today I'm coming to you with my September and October book haul and wrap up. As I said, I do have a book haul portion for this as well, but as some of you may know, I am actually on a book buying ban, so you might be thinking, how do you have books to haul? They actually do all fit within my rules for my book buying ban, so it's fine. I'm gonna start off with the haul. Back when I did my summer book haul, I mentioned that I had one more book coming in September because I was going to a book signing, but I'd already paid for the book in advance, so I felt like it didn't really count. And that was It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne. I was going to a book signing. It was actually the book launch for this particular book. It was really fun. I went with my friend Yasmin and they gave us like a goodie bag with a few things. We got to take a Polaroid. I met Holly. I met her before actually. But yeah, I met her again and she signed my book. I actually still haven't read a single book by her, but I do have a bookmark in this, so I did start it, so I need to continue on with it. This book is about a girl called Audrey who meets this boy called Harry when she's working in a cinema, but basically the relationship is very flawed, I believe, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen in this. We'll see. I'm going to continue on with it at some point. The next book I got was actually in that same event. They gave out this goodie bag which had another book in it, and they were all arcs, which is the most exciting part. So I have this book called The Unpredictability of Being Human by Linny Ingemundsson. I don't know how you say that. I am so sorry. I'll link this book down below. I also don't really know what this book is about, but I will read you the back. It says, if I got to be God for one day, I'd microwave a bag of popcorn to perfection. Because if God could fix the big stuff, he'd have done it already. And even if he did, people do such weird stuff, they'd break it all again anyway. And it says, a darkly comic and captivating coming-of-age story from a groundbreaking new voice. So clearly I think this is a debut book. It comes out in January. I'm really excited to read it. I started reading it at the event and it seemed like it was going to be a fun time. The next book is one that I actually was given this by my university, which is a bit weird. Essentially, they're trying to do this thing where they get people to read more books for pleasure rather than just the books they have to read for school. So they're encouraging everyone to read more, so they gave everyone a book when they moved in, and that book was The Power by Naomi Alderman. And I don't know what this book is about, but I'll read you the back. All over the world, women are discovering they have the power. With a flick of the fingers, they can inflict terrible pain, even death. Suddenly, every man on the planet finds they've lost control. The day of the girls has arrived, but where will it end? It sounds like it's going to be really interesting. I was going to say a fun time, but probably not a fun time. It's like a serious book and I'm like, I don't read those. I read young adult trash. But no, I'm going to try this out at some point because I feel like they wouldn't have given it to every single student if it wasn't worth a read. Now the next 3 books I have are all books that I got for my course. I got all of these in October. Basically I'm doing a module in Latin American literature and film because I didn't want to do the Spanish literature and film, which we're doing next semester, so I chose to do my film module this semester because I'm not really a fan of literature and film, like analyzing that stuff. I'm not very good at it, so I was like, I just want to get out of the way. The first book I have is Quintals de Eva Luna by Isabel Allende. This is a collection of short stories set in South America. Essentially, there's a book called Eva Luna also by Isabel Allende, and these are stories which are supposed to be like folklore from that, and they all connect to the story of Eva Luna. I've read most of them. Some of them are really, really good, and they're just wonderful, but other ones are not my cup of tea. I'm hoping to finish this soon. I'd say it's worth a read, especially if you're interested in Latin American culture. It has a bit of an insight into that. The next 2 books are the same book, but one's in English and one is in Spanish, and that is Me llamo Rigoberta Menchú y así me nació la conciencia, which translates to something. And so I got it in Spanish. I was going to read it in Spanish. I fully intended to. And then someone told me that it was actually really hard to read in Spanish. So I also picked up the English version, which is I, Rigoberta Menchú, which is about an Indian woman in Guatemala. It's a testimonial, which is when the person can't actually like write. Like Rigoberta Menchú is illiterate, so she couldn't write down her story, so someone else wrote it for her. That's this. I haven't read this yet, but I need to. We're starting on it very soon, so I need to get to that. So these are all the books that I acquired in the months of September and October. Only 6 books, and I only paid for those 3 which were necessary. I'd already paid for that one in advance, so yeah, not too bad, I don't think. Now onto the books that I read. In the month of September, I managed to read 4 books, and in October, I read 1. So not great, but not the end of the world either. So the first book that I read in September was Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I read the other 2 books in that series in August, and I really enjoyed them. They were a really fun time. And then I read Always and Forever Lara Jean, and I was like, this is great. It's definitely my favorite of the series. I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I gave the other 2 4.5, which I know is not that much of a difference, but yeah. I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it's a really nice conclusion. I started out reading it and I was like, I really don't feel like this book is necessary. Like it's not adding anything. Then as I went along, I just got more and more invested, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. If you don't know what this book is about, this is the 3rd book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series, and in the first one, the main character, Lara Jean, has a box full of letters that she writes to people she used to be in love with, and she dresses them and everything, and they're just in this box. She's not going to do anything with them, and then one day they all get sent out, and it's about what happens next. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely suggest that series. Also, it's not set in summer, so you can read it all year round. The next book that I read in September was Because You Love to Hate Me by a collection of authors. I finally finished this. This is the anthology, which is 13 short stories about villains. It was written by a bunch of people, and they got paired with a booktuber, and the booktuber wrote like a prompt for them, and then a little like commentary thing with it. I really, really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it a 4.2 stars. That's how it all averaged out. I think my favorite story was probably Victoria Schwab's. I mean, are we surprised? I love Victoria Schwab, so not very surprising at all. I really liked a lot of the stories. Some of them were not my favorite, but that's just gonna happen with an anthology. You're not gonna love every single one. The next book that I read was Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book so much. I flew through it. I think I read it in a day. It was a really, really, really quick read. It follows 4 different characters, and one of the things that makes the book so brilliant is that it switches perspectives like every chapter, so you get a new perspective, and just the way everything connects was really brilliant. It's heartbreaking. If you don't know, it's a historical fiction book. Hi, I'm really sorry you're currently getting hungover, gross looking Samantha, because previous Samantha did a terrible job of describing this book. Essentially, Salt to the Sea follows these 4 characters, 3 of which are trying to get out of Poland because it's during World War II, and these 3 characters are trying to get out of Poland, and the only way to do that is to get to a specific ship, and one of the characters is already on the ship, and they are going to the Wilhelm Gustloff, which I'm really sorry, I know I said that wrong. I didn't do German, so I don't know how to say German things. They're all trying to get to this ship, and I'm not going to tell you what happened, even though it is history, but like some people claim that it's spoilers, but it's history. It follows these 3 characters as they're making their journey over to the ship, and then it follows this one character who's already on the ship, and he's a total dick. He's a Nazi, and he's awful. He's foul. It follows these characters on their journey. It is so sad, but such a good book. I did not know about this event that occurred, so it was very eye-opening to read it and find out what happened. It was so well written. I just thought it was brilliant. So clearly I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. I also completed my September TBR Drive challenge of reading a historical fiction book. The final book that I read in September was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Of course I was going to read this. This was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you don't know what this book is about, this book follows 2 boys called Rufus and Mateo, and they live in this world where on the day you're gonna die, you get a phone call from this company called Deathcast saying you're gonna die today. They don't tell you how you're gonna die or like what time of day, but just that you're gonna die. So these 2 boys use this app called the Last Friend app, and they find each other and they become friends for a day. And I'm not gonna tell you if they both die at the end. It was really sad, but I love Adam Silvera's writing style. I really, really enjoy his books. I was gonna say they're a lot of fun to read, but that's really not true. They're always heartbreaking. I really hope that one day he writes a book that I won't cry at. I think I've written reviews for all of these, so I'll link them down below because it was a while ago, so I know that my thoughts are not as clear right now as they should be. Now, the only book that I read in October was a reread for me, and if you don't know, I've been rereading the Harry Potter series since August, and I finished reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire during October. I obviously gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. It is potentially my favorite book in the Harry Potter series. I don't know yet because I need to finish rereading them again before I can decide. I just love this book so much. I feel like this is where real shit starts to happen. It's just so good, and of course I cried. I do not cry that much in books, but this book gets me every time. I listened to the audiobook, which I would definitely recommend. Stephen Fry does a great job narrating the audiobooks. I'm currently reading the 5th one, also on audiobook, and they're just 10 out of 10. Obviously, I love the Harry Potter series with all of my heart. Obviously, I did not pick an October TBR Drive challenge within this video because October is well and truly over. But I did choose one before. I did film it, but I'm not going to insert the clip because I looked like gross. My October challenge was to read a book that has been on my shelf since 2015. What I wanted to read was The Accident Season, but I didn't actually get around to it. I will try and read that before the end of the year. And then my November challenge, I've also already chosen because we are already a bit of a way into November. And that was to read a book featuring a diverse main character or by a diverse author. And I just mean like someone who's different from me in many different ways. I do need to read I, Rigoberta Menchú, which is obviously very different from me. It is about a Guatemalan woman. And I'm really sorry about the lack of videos, but hopefully I'll be getting back to a slightly normal schedule soon. I just don't hold me to that at all. That's going to be all for today's video, so I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below. If you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, because I'm not very regular at the moment about posting, then you can go and click that notification icon, the little bell icon, and you'll get me notified every time I post, which is not that often, but you know, whenever I do post, you'll get a notification. That is going to all, so I'll see you hopefully soon with another video. Bye. Bye, Holly Bourne. Muted. He has a hair on me. Cool, cool, cool.